I'm Josh. And I'm Josh. And this is Alter Ego Comics TV, episode 122. Marc's decided that he doesn't have the intestinal fortitude to hang around all summer and decided to take his family on a well-deserved vacation. But it's okay, we've got plenty of great comics news for you this week and plenty of great issues on the stands. So let's start with number 1, Superman Unchained, written by Scott Snyder, art by Jim Lee. You may have heard of these guys. Scott Snyder is one of the big up-and-comers in the writing world of comics, and Jim Lee has been one of the biggest artists for about 30 years, 20 years now. And Superman Unchained is, ironically, timed to coincide with a new Superman movie. Who would have thought it? But it's actually really good. This is a new series in the Superman universe. I like the way they balanced it. It references things that have been happening in the New 52 continuity Superman, but it doesn't actually require them. You can pick this up knowing very little about what's going on since the New 52 and follow it easily. And it's a great pickup for Superman fans. Snyder does a really good job characterizing both the supporting cast, Perry and Lois and Jimmy, as well as really making Clark a distinct personality. I really like the way he's writing Clark Kent in here. It's a very human sort of... human is what it is. It's very cool. It's Ma and Pa Kent's boy, and it's just awesome. We also get some great, interesting action. One of the big challenges with Superman is finding something that he can fight, something that's a threat to Superman, or something that Superman can't stop. And it appears that they may have come up with something here. They've got a little bit of tinkering with history, or maybe just revealing of history that was already there. And Superman Unchained #1. It's a $4.99 book, but it's got a cool fold-out thing in the middle that's not quite a poster. It's actually more like a fold-out part of the book that gives you a very cool kind of large-scale action shot. And it's also no ads. We've got all story pages beginning to end, as well as a cool interview at the end with Lee and Snyder asking about their affections for Superman, what they think. And it's just a great pickup. So Superman Unchained on the stands is a no-brainer this week. All right, and my first pick this week is True Lives of the Fabulous Killjoys, #1, with words by Gerard Way and Sean Simon, and art by Becky Cloonan. You remember Gerard Way from My Chemical Romance, his band that was once a band, and also from his awesome comics work, The Umbrella Academies, Volume 1 and 2, which were just great. And Becky Cloonan's probably best known for her recent run on Brian Wood's Conan, the first trade of which is out next week, and she just knocked it out of the park on that storyline, and she does a great job here as well. True Lives of the Fabulous Killjoys is loosely tied to the album of the same name from My Chemical Romance, but you don't actually have to be remotely familiar with the music to follow it. It's kind of a weird, if you've read any of Gerard Way's stuff, like The Umbrella Academy, you realize that everything he does is weird, and weird is the defining the defining adjective of his comics work. But it's also a lot of fun. It's a weird post-apocalyptic world where there was once this band, superhero team, whatever, called the Fabulous Killjoys, who have been killed, murdered, disappeared, whatever it is that happens to heroes when they're outside of the shot. And this is set in the future, and people talk about it. People emulate them. You have people dressing up as them, and it's just really weird. It's a lot of fun. It's very intriguing, but it's hard to tell sometimes from a first issue how good a series is going to be. I'm recommending this almost exclusively on the strength of his past and of the very cool art and neat stuff Becky Cloonan's doing here. It's a post-apocalyptic wasteland like we've seen in any number of video games, movies, comics, but it has a great deal of little quirky humor in it. I just love some of the landscapes and the way they're building things, the things that have survived this apocalypse, kind of hinting at a world that is far more interesting than our own, that has also been destroyed by something awful. So, True Lives of the Fabulous Killjoys, if you like your stuff a bit off-kilter, this is an amazing pick for you this week. My next pick this week is American Vampire Special, The Long Road to Hell. That's right, another book by Scott Snyder, this time with art by Raphael Albuquerque. And this is another great pickup with no ads. Well, that's not true. There is one full-page ad for Batman Year Zero from Scott Snyder. But the rest of it is all story pages. It's a huge, oversized volume, and which is good because... I don't know if you know this or not, American Vampire has been on hiatus since the end of last year, and there are no new regular issues in sight. So, like a sickly sweet hit of methadone, what you really want to smack, American Vampire Long Road to Hell will get you through what you need to. The Scott will get you there. This is set in 1959, and one of my favorite things about the American Vampire universe is the way that they jump around chronologically. Each story is kind of set in its own period of time, and they've almost mapped better than half of the 20th century, which gives it a neat feel. When you pick up an issue, you kind of orient yourself, just like when you're reading a real historical text. You kind of have to figure out what's happened, what hasn't happened. And this one makes it very easy. It gives you the year. And also, we only see one regular character from the series, but it's a cool story set in the late 50s with, your sock hop kids. You've also got a more gritty Vegas thing. And of course, there's always cabals of evil vampires trying to kill everyone. So if you're an AmVam fan, or if you just like good books or horror, American Vampire Special is a great choice this week. Next up, we've got Wolverine and the X-Men, issue number 31. Words by Jason Aaron, art by Nick Bradshaw, someone Bradshaw. I think it's Nick. And this is the first part of the Hellfire Saga miniseries or storyline going on within Wolverine and the X-Men, and it is a lot of fun. Wolverine and the X-Men we've really enjoyed since issue 1. We talk about it almost every month when it comes out. But I especially enjoyed this issue because it's almost a parody of Wolverine and the X-Men. The first story arc of Wolverine and the X-Men was a lot about setting up the Jean Grey School for Higher Learning and setting up, who's teaching what interesting quirky stuff is going on at the school, introducing all the students. And this is the exact same thing, but for the Hellfire Academy. Basically, it's the evil version of the Jean Grey School, and it is amazingly funny. There's a lot of great character moments. We see characters that are both new and old, and it's so much fun. Mystique is teaching children. Mystique is teaching children. You've got Sauron, the giant pterodactyl-looking guy, also being a professor and wearing pants and a shirt, which was so weird to me because he's almost always just in like a loincloth or just flying around the Savage Land, au natural. So Sauron and pants, and that's why you should check out Wolverine and the X-Men, number 31 this week. And finally, we have made it to my pick of the week. We have Batman, issue 21. This is the start of the Batman Year Zero storyline. Words by Scott Snyder. Wow, it's a Scott Snyder kind of week. All three of my picks for Scott Snyder. And art by Greg Capullo, who's the series regular penciler. Year Zero is awesome. I was incredibly trepidatious about picking up this book because, we've seen Batman Year 1, we've seen Batman Year 2, we've seen Robin Year 1, we've seen Batgirl Year 1, we've seen a lot of Year 1s, we've seen a lot of this information covered in the past, but I was wrong. Actually, nothing in here treads over things we've already seen. This picks up about 6 weeks after Bruce gets back from his around-the-world tour to learn fighting and driving and stealing and lockpicking and ninjaing and all the other sorts of things you need to know to be a Batman. And it's awesome. We've got great character moments. Alfred is still not entirely accepting of the idea of Bruce going out in the night and punching people professionally or semi-professionally. And you've got a great interplay. You see the early developmental points of Batman. You also see how it ties into other Batman people, villains, and the way it's interwoven with regular continuity. It's just a great read. Snyder has a unique ability to find those little moments, those touchstones that make you truly care about a character, to truly recognize what's going on in their lives and how they're feeling. And this book is a great return to form for him in that sense. There's a couple moments where they're talking about Gotham City, and I just like that is Batman to me. This is the epitome of what it means to be Batman, and he's doing it in an amazing way. The through line of the story, like I said, is about 6 weeks after Bruce's around the world trip. But we also get flashbacks to him as a kid dealing with his father. We get things jumping around slightly ahead of that to see Fallout, and it's very interestingly structured to keep everything exciting, but at the same time be able to give you all the backstory and everything you need to truly appreciate it. And it's just awesome. Scott Snyder is just ruling the world of comics this week. Batman 21 is a no-brainer, start of Year Zero. It's got a cool kind of embossy cover, so you can feel it. If you're blind, you can just feel the Batman out low. Very handy. And finally, my pick of the week this week is Guardians of the Galaxy number 3. Guardians of the Galaxy has been a lot of fun from the beginning, which was 0, so this is actually the 4th issue, however you want to look at that. But Brian Bendis, who's writing, and this week we get artwork from McNiven and Sarah Pichelli, who we enjoy both of their catalogs, especially Pichelli's work on Ultimate Spider-Man. And this is where it gets really good. The Guardians of the Galaxy are sort of like a space A-team. The only time, or maybe not the only time, but the time we love them the most is when things are going horribly wrong. When things are terrible is when the Guardians of the Galaxy is the most fun. And that's what this issue is. At the end of the last issue, they had been captured by Star-Lord's people, some sort of an Imperial space people, Imperium of some sort, the Stardax Imperium, something ridiculous like that. But so they're all captured. They've had their weapons stripped of them. It's important to remember Iron Man, Tony Stark is also out in space with them. And this is where we see them being incarcerated and inevitably breaking free. And it's so much fun. The interplay between the characters, to see these alien races' assessments of humanity and our weird picadillos and the way we seem odd on a cosmic scale. It's just a great deal of fun. And this also contained my favorite line of the week. You will know it when you get to it. But Guardians of the Galaxy #3 is just great comics, and you deserve to pick it up this week. All right, that about wraps it up. We have a great week for comics. So many Scott Snyder books, I am beside myself. Really? Is that what I sound like? It's no wonder Marc wanted a vacation. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in with us this week. We hope you check out some of these awesome comics or any of the other comics available at your fine local comic store. If you're local to Lima, that would be us, downtown Lima, North Main Street. But you can also check us out and let us know what you thought on Alter Ego Comics. Facebook.com/AlterEgoManiacs or Alter Ego Comics on Twitter. And give us a word of what you liked, what you didn't like. If you hate me and don't want me to be on the show anymore, please don't vote for that. So have a great week and take care.